I'm trying my so hard to improve. I am speaking part 7. What is that? Yeah.
So tell me about your hometown. Ừm, I come from Hanoi. Thi thì câu trả lời này lại chưa được đánh giá cao. Phải không đúng không ạ? Tuy nhiên nếu như đi thi thì câu trả lời này lại chúng ta còn gọi là ideas. Và lý do thứ hai là các idea của cô ấy thì chưa có sự kết nối.
This is premium economy on the new Emirates.
You know what? I want to improve my IELTS speaking part 1 so badly. You cannot imagine how I need about 8 in or 7 in IELTS speaking. Right, I aiming for a 8 overall, right? So basically, I need an 8 in speaking and at least 8.5 in both listening and writing, and maybe just maybe 7.5 in writing. It's not gonna be easy.
Say 350.
I know it's not gonna be easy,
Most people think that the secret to IELTS
but
speaking success is learning how to do a few
I
things
have to do
really
it.
well. But after helping thousands of students get a band 9 in IELTS speaking, I can tell you the opposite is actually true. The real secret is band 9 students avoid traps set for them by IELTS
Avoiding traps, right? What kinds of trap?
speaking examiners.
What kinds of trap? What kinds of trap you are talking about?
If you fall for them, you
Traps,
will
trap
fail.
one, trap
This video
two.
will show you what those traps are. At the end of the video, I'm going to reveal the biggest IELTS speaking secret that's contained in one of my favorite movies. Understanding this secret has done more than it instantly when I
Bros
worked here
how
as a chef.
bro basically knows how to do YouTube, right? This kind of formula where you giving them hope about something at the beginning make and that will making them watch all the way through the end to find what is the thing in the beginning what
Some
I try
chefs would come into his kitchen and ask him for a job. Sure, my dad would say. Come back tomorrow, cook me something. If I like it, you can have a job. And just before they left, he'd say, Is there anything you do not like to cook? And when they arrived the next day for the cooking demonstration, he'd ask them to cook the thing they hated. So, what has my sneaky father got to do with IELTS speaking? If you look online for topics that will definitely come up on test day, you'll find these 3 topics. But if you look at the official Cambridge questions, you'll find very unusual topics that you weren't expecting. You see,
oh
when
really
IELTS examiners ask about your home or your work or your hometown, they often get answers like this. I am over the moon that
what's
you
that
ask me
hair
about my hometown. It is
oh my
only
god
once in a blue
what's that
moon that I get to talk
expensive
about a topic that is so close to my heart. There are a plethora of reasons why one would
center
enjoy my hometown. Let's talk first about the 18th century architecture. But if the examiner was to ask them about a topic they weren't expecting, such as wigs, the examiner might hear an answer like this. I don't know anything about wigs. I've never worn a wig in my entire life. And things are going to get much worse for this student because the examiners are trained to spot memorized answers. And what they will do if they think that you are giving memorized answers, for example, about your hometown, they will ask you more and more difficult questions on unusual topics. And here's the scary part. The examiner has your memorized answer and your answer to the questions you weren't expecting. They will not base their score on this answer. They will base their score on this answer alone. Because as my
understand
father used to
understand
say, a chef is only as good as their worst dish, not their best dish. Your memorized answers are not your real level. Your real speaking level is dealing with questions you were not expecting. So if you do get an unusual question on test day, answer it like this. No, I've never worn a wig. I think that people who wear wigs sound and look ridiculous. I think they really just do it for attention or to be funny, which
which
isn't funny
is
at
it
all, to be honest. Now, if you thought the examiners were sneaky in part 1, you're really going to hate them after I reveal their sneaky trap in part 3 of the test. Now, before I tell you what it is, let me tell you why they do it. Because once you understand the why, you'll be able to spot it immediately and deal with it much more easily. So, when I was a kid in primary school, I really struggled academically. I couldn't even write my own name properly. I couldn't understand most of the lessons and I wasn't allowed to sit with the other kids. But despite all this, I was able to eventually graduate from one of the best law schools in the world. You see, when I did a test, I got all the easy questions wrong, but the few really difficult questions at the end of the test that no other students could get correct, I would always get those correct. And this is exactly what the examiners are trained to do in part 3 of the speaking test. If they believe that you are at one of the lower bands, let's say a band 4 or a band 5, they will ask you quite easy questions like these ones. But if they think that you deserve one of the higher bands, a band 7, 8 or even 9, they will ask you more and more difficult questions.
I can
Notice
tell.
how in the book here, the questions get more and more difficult. But the key here is how you react to these more difficult questions. These questions will come at the very end of the speaking test when you are stressed, you are tired, and you just want the test to end. And when the examiner asks these questions, often students will give answers like, yes,
Look,
I don't know.
no,
The thing
no,
you have to remember with
I
these
don't know.
questions
I
is the
don't know.
examiner is testing you. They are testing, are you capable
You
of
capable
answering
of
these band
answering
7, 8,
these
and
band
9
seven and
questions? Because
nine
they have to
questions.
separate out the band
Separate.
7s from the band 8s from the band 9s.
Okay.
One of the ways they're trained to do that is ask these really, really difficult questions and then see how you react to them. So, what if you know nothing about the topic or you just find that question really, really challenging? Are you going to automatically get a low score? No, let me show you how to cope with those questions. So, if I was doing the test and I got this question and I know nothing about this topic, I am a complete idiot when it comes to this topic,
Oh,
I
I
could say
see.
something like this. To be honest, I don't know anything about this topic. I'm not from India and I don't know much about cooking. But if I had to give an answer, it's very difficult to predict the future. But
But
what I would
I would
say
say
is
is
maybe
maybe
AI will
AI will
change how
change
the
how the
restaurants take
restaurants make
orders
orders
and how
and
they
how they
deliver the
read
food
the
to their
food.
customers. But that's
But
just a
that's
complete
just
guess.
couldn't
Now,
guess.
is that the best answer in the world? No, but it is much better than. And by attempting an answer and telling the examiner what I think about that topic, even though I know nothing about it, I have indicated to the examiner that I am good enough to deal
Good
with those
enough to deal
questions,
with
and they
those
might
questions.
then steer the conversation to a topic that I'm more comfortable with, and then I can really got to do English language. And the examiners only have between 10 and 15 minutes to test your ability to use English vocabulary. So they came up with a genius way of testing it in around 10 minutes. See, some words we use to talk about this topic, some words this topic, and some words this topic. But if we try to use these words to talk about this topic, it doesn't work. These are called topic specific words, and we can use them to talk about different topics. Knowing this information is crucial for two reasons. First, the examiners are trained to ask you a range of different topics on test day so that you can't just memorize a list of band 9 words and put them into every answer and cheat the test in that way. Secondly, the examiners are more impressed with a simple topic specific word than a more complex word that doesn't really help you answer the question. This is why so many students fail the test when they were expecting to get a really high score because they memorized lists of band 9 words. And this is why so many of our VIP students get a band 7, 8 and 9, not by memorizing lists of high level band 9 words, but using the simple topic specific words they already know.
It's actually impossible. Whoa. Whoop. It's
Really? You actually think it? I personally don't think so. Right. Right. If you are capable of using advanced vocab, then it's simple for you to get a higher band. For example, I try to do a part two question with Draco blah 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 something voice and
Now I'm going to give you a topic, and you will talk about it for 1 to 2 minutes. Remember to take notes.
when I forgot on something on a po- appointment. Hmm, you have missed something in appointment. When yeah, I don't know what that coin used in English. What an appointment. Appointment with my boss. Yes, boss. Boss marketing. I was on the marketing with team, and I forgot my laptop. Laptop. It was embarrassing. Embarrassing. And with a laptop, I cannot do anything. Without it, I cannot do anything. And that's the reason why I always bring laptop with me. Laptop with me. Alright.
Please start speaking now.
Alright. When talking about a time where I forgot I missed an appointment, I forgot something or missed an appointment, I would absolutely say it was when I forgot an appointment with my boss. Right. So last year I actually got a job, which is that currently working in a marketing team of an educational system. And as a member of a member of the marketing team, I of course I have some all kinds of meetings so that we can uh, launch the campaigns to increase the revenues. At that appointment, I forgot it completely and I overslept it to until I wake up and I woke up and checked my phone. I realized that I had missed like 10 calls from my college and it was very quite uncanny at that moment. I was afraid that they might even fire me for being not arriving on that meeting without asking them first. So what I learned after that is that always always be prepared. Wherever there are something, there's a meeting or there are appointment you have maybe in the next day or next week. I don't know. And if it is an important appointment, then you must prepare more well, even more well too. It's been a year now, so I think people there are all forgot about that time. But personally, I can never forget it, and it's what a time when I miss an appointment that I will never forget in my entire life. I don't know what it's fine. Anyway, anyway, I exactly knew my level is only at 6.5. You know what? The fluency. My fluency is low. Now let's analyze this thing. First of all, my fluency is low. Why is it slow? Because I cannot organize the idea well. And that's led to this vocab is vocab and grammar is basically my skill issue. I'm not gonna complain about it. And the pronunciation is that I try to think too fast that led to this word have the word that I trying to say is not having appeared on my mind yet, and that led to I don't know how to pronounce it. These two are linked, right? And these two, it's just basically I need to improve more.
Describe a time when you forgot missed an appointment. want to tell you about a time when I missed a special opportunity. The audition to join my school's English club when I was in 10th grade. The audition was scheduled for Saturday morning, and I was
Was
incredibly
incredibly
excited the night
excited for
before.
that.
Honestly,
Actually,
I was so thrilled that I could hardly sleep.
I
I did everything for perfect preparation, from writing an impressive self introduction to imagining all.
damn that girl is so good. Girl, that girl is good. That girl is good.
Describe a time when you forgot missed an appointment.
Bro, this girl is a master at speaking. Yo, this girl is a master at speaking. Oh my god, this girl is a dead master. It's so good at speaking. How do people set goals?
Well, I think people set goals based on their personalities and preferences. Most of the time, I think people often write down their goals on a paper and attach it where they can see it every day. Absolutely, yes. Storyline is the backbone which makes the film more coherent. A clear plot can give the audience a sequence of events that they can easily follow, while a messy one confuses viewers even if the film possesses great visuals or exceptional acting. Plus, storyline creates sensible situations, facilitating further.
When you're talking about a time where I forgot I missed an appointment, I forgot something or missed an appointment, I would absolutely say it was. Yeah. There's one more tear that just buzz at me. Wait me. I'm trying to take a rest. Bavaria. The reason why I have a such low band in IELTS. Right, let's analyze. Not why. This. Fuck is this real website? Formula. Hardcore formula. Yeah, then I will download. I will download this book. Hmm. Hmm. How do I delete this? How do I clear? Yeah, and make it just disappear like that, right? Sorry guys, but I have to download this real quick. Sorry y'all, I have to download this. What is me for a sec? Wait me for a sec. Wait me for a sec. Ah, alright, let's use that. Now I had a formula. Let's use this to practice. If registry. And what one do you prefer? Why how to put it? What do you prefer? What do you usually normally do? What can you do in your spare time to do in your spare time? What do you usually? How do you often? Is something is the best. There's okay. So, do you something? Do you prefer? When do you prefer? Uh, what do you wear headphones? Have you ever walk with them? Have you ever have you ever? This book that book that book's not reliable. I don't know. I asked ChatGPT to help me to help me analyze this thing. Your ChatGPT help me. I need your help in order to improve my speaking. Um, truth. Yes, yes, this have made mistakes, but I don't have anything to against. Lack of complexity. Basically, you're trying to say that 5.56 fluency vocab. That's why I want cấu trúc ngữ pháp và cấu trúc câu và ngữ pháp của anh phải thiếu độ phức tạp. Bạn grammar của bạn luôn xấu vì bạn ít mắc lỗi, nhưng bạn không dùng complex sentence tense. No, thì thật là really lots of suy cho bạn. Yeah, I don't have much mistakes. Diversity. Fuck, it must have to be diversity. Let's read the I have enough. I have vocabulary is not impressive. Lack of lexical range. Always six. I always use about around 5 or 6 because I use this correctly, but I use too much words that is simple. No collocation, no idiom, no paraphrase. About 7.5. I will about 7.5. I will need I will need try. I will need to have some accuracy and fluency 5 to 6. My answer is short but lack of ngắn, thiếu phát triển fluency hát Việt. Bạn trả lời vừa đủ, không spam câu, không có storytelling, example of personal experience. Câu rồi quá sự so cái word archive. Pronunciation. Bạn nói dễ hiểu nhưng chưa có natural reason. Tại sao nó chưa hiểu nhưng thiếu ngữ điệu, thiếu connected speech, linking stress, âm giọng hơi đều, bạn what I need to do in order to get a band 7.5. Plan that fluency. I don't often go to phrases. Yeah. What do you mean for it? Public public places. Public places.
You often go to public places with
Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, when my friends go to cafes on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit. That is the 7.5. Wow, how? I'm curious. How is this 7.5? Nothing mistake. Perfect. Don't have any mistake.
No, I don't even hang out with my friends on a regular basis.
Yes, I have a groups of friends.
Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafe on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. Recharge better. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my enjoy, enjoys, enjoys. I don't get it. How, fuck. How do I get it? Ah, how I get a 7.5? It's it just does not make sense. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go on cafe on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It helps me recharge better than doing so. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit. Enjoys. Enjoys.
Enjoys.
Enjoys. Enjoy. Enjoys. Enjoys. Example.
example.
Example is
Example.
example. Example.
Week weekends.
Weekends. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafes on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. Recharge. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafes on weekends, not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafe on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or even work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. better. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafes on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example,
Cafes.
cafe, cafe, cafe,
Helps.
helps,
Helps.
helps, 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 helps,
Helps.
helps,
Helps.
helps,
Helps.
helps, helps. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafes on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. Recharge. Yes. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafe on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. Helps me recharge better. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafes on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal project because think everyone have different ways to relax and enjoy their free time. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends go to cafes on weekends, I usually stay at home to read or work on my personal projects. It just helps me recharge better. Bad, 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 bad. Not really. I'm someone who enjoys quiet environments, so I rarely visit crowded public places. For example, even when my friends. Alright, got it. Damn, I can tell. Fluency, 1 minute answer. Each compartment knows the right answer, simple explanation. Says specific answer, result, or opinion. I can see, I can see, I can see. All right, got it, I got it, I got it. Now let's take another question.
Had you ever had a really strict teacher?
Answers. Explanation. Yes, I did, and it was like 3 years ago. And the person I'm gonna talk about is my math teacher on when I was grade 11. I still remember the reason why she was always so mad is that my classes is always so annoying because they are loud, they are talking in class, doing their personal things and not listening to the test at all, to the things that she is teaching. So yes, I have. It was my math teacher when I was grade 7. She was really strict because I think it's because I always do my personal things in class, so I can tell why she must at me. No, I don't see her anymore, but I have changed. I would say that I have changed, and I hope that she can see me growing and maturing over time now. Yes, I have. It was my math teacher when I was grade 7. She was really strict with that. Something is actually improving. Something is actually improving. Something is actually improving. Let's do a practice test to see if the formula is actually helping me or not. Let's find out. Yeah, only one way to know.
Now, I would like to ask you some questions about yourself. Have you ever worked with old people?
Yes, I did. So currently, I'm working in an educational system that have a lot of old people. So I work with them every single day. The feeling,
Are you happy to work with people who are older than you?
yes, I did. Because first of all, they are funny, and second of all, they are very smart, right? They have all this life experience so that they can teach me all the cool stuff. For example, the dude sitting next to me on my office is actually for more than 40 years old now, and he's a really cool dude with all kind of love experience to me, and I really adore him.
Do you enjoy spending time with old people?
Mm, well, not actually, because different generation will create a separation from the way that we entertain ourselves. Those people in my office are tend to read books and read the news when in the free time. Why I want to play video games only. This is not so harmful because we still love to talk to each other.
What are the benefits of being friends with or working with old people?
Personally, I think there's a lot, but the most one that I want to highlight is that I can learn some, not some, I can learn a lot of things from them, from life experience on how to do things, how to handle stress in life. They are all great person who give me great advice on how to live a better life.
How do you think their life experiences shape your perspective?
Hmm. Right now, I'm only 20 years old. Comparing to them, 40 is more than twice than as my age. And that thing is already have already summed up things that I need to talk about. They've lived, they have exist in this world longer than me, and they have experienced more things than me. So they would absolutely know more than me.
Why do you believe generational differences affect your interactions?
I said it effect, but in a in a positive way, right? It's might actually hard to different generation understand about how the other entertain themselves, but when it's come to getting along, I don't see any problem in that.
How can you bridge the gap between your interests and theirs?
Simple. I will find a thing that we both hate to do and then learn how to do it together. Because we both hate it, right? There's no reason for generation gap or something. We should have to do it something. And I hope that eventually we might actually get along while doing that thing and maybe start to like to doing that thing. Example, like taking photos of each other or something. I think that might be fun.
Why is learning from older people important for your growth?
No one can walk on a path alone. That's a quote I heard from a long time ago. Life is long, right? And always someone to lead me on my way to success. And all the people are are those that I'm talking about. They have like experience, they have experience thing, they have advice, they've been through failure, they've been through success, and now they're sitting next to me with all that kind of knowledge. I should take advantage of it and ask them as much as I could. It's very good for you, you know. I think you should also try it out. I'm trying your answer. Six. Your generation are different as different, you know. Yeah, this question I did not answer as the God for, and as a result, I got very low. But overall, I got a good fluency. Your this thing is actually worse. Your actually works really well. Personally, I think there's a lot, but the most one that I want to highlight is that I can learn some. Hmm, wow, 2.5, 6.5, really good. Right, I have to answer first. First, I have to answer. Then I will give a simple explanation. Then a specific example. And the result of opinion. I can see. Wow, 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 wow. It's cool though. It's good though. Vocab. I should learn more vocab. Common. Maintain a healthy lifestyle. Building meaningful relationships. Collocation. Grammar. A major turning point in my life. Complex sentence. Related clause. Go. Reduce clauses. I'm really into reading books, especially novels, which allow. I actually love something, especially which allows pronunciation. Oh my thing, my pronunciation 5, 6, 6, 7, 6, 5, 6, 6, or 6. Focus on sentence strength. I'd really, I'd really enjoy going out with my friends on weekends. What, when, I'm gonna, rising steadily. The level 5 or 6 long alphabet flows. I am going on the right path. Yeah. No, this is right. Walking on the right path. Walking on the right path. Moving on the right path. Maybe moving on. Yeah. I'm having a break. I see. What? I do this. I do this. Oh. Mm. All right. Um, taking. I'm taking a break. Con phải sao chia tay chẳng ai hết biết được. I'm back. Let's listen to a song to relieve our stress. Câu chuyện sao chia tay chẳng ai biết được. What?
Still looking for the ultimate AI tool? Hailuo AI takes your AI.
What?
I used to struggle with IELTS reading, never scoring higher than 6.5. But after making a few simple changes, ones I'll share with you later in this video, my score improved dramatically. In fact, when I took my first official IELTS test, I achieved a perfect band 9 in IELTS reading. But before we dive into what I
How
did,
the
let's
hell
talk
first
about
time
two
he's got
major
about that?
mistakes that keep most test takers stuck at a low band score. Mistake number 1, mindless mock tests. Many of you are upset with doing mock tests, finishing one, checking your score, and then moving to the next. But if you are not analyzing your mistakes or improving your reading skills, you're just wasting time. Doing 5 practice tests in a row without learning from them won't help you improve. Mistake number 2, you don't actually read in English. IELTS is a skill-based test, and skills require consistent practice. When people ask me, how did you score a band 9? My first question back is always, how often do you actually read? If your answer is not much, then that's the problem. So instead of just talking about reading, let me show you what I read or how I read effectively in just 1 month. There are countless reading materials online, but I keep it simple. I mainly read National Geographic and BBC News. In the mornings when I'm at the cafe, instead of scrolling through nonsense on my phone, I open the BBC app and read about politics, AI technology, or world events. When I'm at my desk, I switch to National Geographic, which has more in-depth articles with rich vocabulary. Whenever I came across a new word, I didn't just ignore it, I study it. Here's exactly what I did. Copy and paste this prompt into ChatGPT. Hey ChatGPT, whenever I give you a word, provide me with definitions, word types, IPA, 3 synonyms, 3 antonyms, and 3 example sentences. Okay, so now you can just copy and paste the word into ChatGPT. Write down useful words in a notebook for later review. This method made write down useful words in a notebook for later review. This method made vocabulary stick, and over time, reading became easier and more enjoyable. Honestly, this video shouldn't be titled How to Get a Band 9 in IELTS Reading in 1 Month. Instead, it should be How to Make Reading a Daily Habit. Once you develop the habit of reading, IELTS reading becomes the easiest skill among the four. Speaking of reading habits, I have an idea for a new Read With Me series. In these videos, I'll read interesting articles, display them on screen,
Có thể sang chơi tay chẳng ai đâu biết sao. Câu chuyện tay như chẳng ai đúng sai. Mình chỉ biết về nhau.
and break down key vocabulary and grammar structures. You can listen like a podcast or read along with me. Would you be interested in this? Let me know in the comments. That's it for today's video. If you found this helpful, drop your questions.
I only watch this because it is 3 minutes. 3 minutes. Hmm. Yeah, it sounds good. I have an idea. I have an idea. How about I now try to full test. Right? Well, let's go.
Test 3. This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. There will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work. All the recordings will be played once only. The test is in 4 parts. At the end of the test, you will be given 10 minutes to transfer your answers to an answer sheet. Now turn to part 1. Part 1. You will hear a woman phoning the owner of a house she is going to rent about companies that she could rent furniture from. First, you have some time to look at questions 1 to 5.
Oh, that's cool.
Now listen carefully and answer questions 1 to 5.
Good morning.
Hi, this is Shelley Meyer. I'm renting your house on Archwood Avenue. I'm due to move in next week.
Oh, yes. Hello, Ms. Meyer. What can I do for you?
When I viewed the house, I told you I'll most probably need to rent some furniture, at least until I know whether my temporary work contract is going to be made permanent.
Yes, of course, I remember. And I said I could give you some information about furniture rental companies in the city.
That's right.
Well, the biggest company is called Peak Rentals. I've recommended them to other people and have always heard positive reports about them.
Could you give me an idea of their costs?
Sure. I actually have one of their brochures here. It says the monthly price per room starts at $105 and goes up to $239. That depends on which rooms you need furniture for, of course.
Sure. It's just to get a general idea of how much it's going to cost. And you said you had some positive feedback about this company?
No.
Yes. People have mentioned that the furniture from Peak Rentals is more modern than any of the other companies.
Modern.
And also, once you place an order, the furniture will be delivered to you in just 1 or 2 days.
That would be really helpful.
And the brochure says that there's a special offer at the moment. If you rent living room furniture, I believe that's a set of chairs and a TV table, you'll also get a lamp at no extra cost.
Okay, but you know, that price range you gave is more than I was hoping to pay.
Then you could try Aaron and Oliver.
Sorry, what and Oliver?
Aaron, Aaron.
Okay. Are they cheaper?
I'd say they're a mid-price company. But if you chose them, you need to be aware that they charge an extra 12% every month in case of damage.
Oh, I see. I'd have to do the math carefully then.
Right. But one helpful thing is that they also do cleaning for customers.
For the furniture?
For the house.
Oh, I see.
Cleaning
I probably won't need
service.
that.
Before you hear the rest of the conversation, you have some time to look at questions 6 to 10. Now listen and answer questions 6 to 10.
There's another company called Larch Furniture.
Large furniture.
It's quite
Yeah.
new, and it has the lowest prices in town.
Large
That's
furniture.
for both furniture and also electronic equipment.
Well, that would be good. I'm not bringing much with me, and I won't have much time to go shopping after I start my job.
Awesome.
There are two things you need to know about Larch Furniture. First of all, you have to take out insurance on the furniture, and you need to organize that yourself.
That wouldn't be too hard.
Also, you can't take out a contract for less than 6 months.
6
But
months.
I figure that might not be a problem for you. You're renting the house for 12 months after all, aren't you?
Yes, okay. Well,
Sorry to interrupt. I just thought of another furniture rental company. It's called Space Rentals, and it's located very near to the house.
Okay.
I don't have any information about their charges, so it's best to use their app to find out what it would cost you to use them.
Okay, thanks. I'll do that.
One good thing about that company is that if you don't like the furniture once it's delivered, you can request exchanges, as long as you do that within a week of receiving it.
That sounds really great. Okay. Well, thanks very much. That's so helpful.
Right, it's easy.
That is the end of part 1. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to part 1. Part 2. You will hear an archaeologist, who is part of a community project to excavate an ancient village, talking to members of the public who are visiting the site. First, you have some time to look at questions 11 to 16. Now listen carefully and answer questions 11 to 16.
Hello, I'm Hayden. I'm one of the archaeologists investigating the site here at Bidcaster. This is the 3rd summer for this community project, and most of the people digging here are volunteers. I'm a full-time archaeologist for the town council, but I was asked to join the project by NHA, a charity which sets up projects like this up and down the country. As you can see, we're next to Bidcaster Castle, which is great because the owners let us use their facilities. So, how did we get to where we are today? Many archaeology projects happen when an ancient object is found, and in our case, that object was a gold coin. Coins are often found by people using metal detectors to look for things buried in the ground, or coins are uncovered when wild animals like rabbits have been digging tunnels. Here, a walker found it on the ground after a rainstorm washed away some of the earth and sand. When the story of the gold coin hit the news, Peter Swift, an amateur historian, contacted me to say he believed there had been a village on this site, centuries before the castle was built. Just by chance, the team found some old maps and documents in our library, which showed 500-year-old drawings of ruined buildings on the grassy area between the outer stone walls of the castle and the river. We knew then we were onto something. Over the 3 summers the team has been here, we found the remains of several buildings, and more broken pots than you can count. Normally you'd expect to find brooches and other jewellery, but we're still waiting to uncover any such items. The people who once lived here were skilled at making tools from animal bones, as you'll see when you visit the exhibition. Besides the discovery of the village, we've also found evidence of human activity on the other side of the river. No other houses or huts so far, but we can see the borders of an ancient field system. At one point we found a long wall and thought it was an ancient palace, but it turned out to be a modern wall. This summer's work will end soon, but we'll be back next summer. In the meantime, we're putting on a series of guided tours for school groups this autumn. Oh, and maybe you saw the TV documentary about our project. That suggested the objects we've found are going to the town's museum, but we don't know that for sure yet.
Before you hear the rest of the talk, you have some time to look at questions 17 to 20. Now listen and answer questions 17 to 20.
When you enter the site, please make sure you keep to the paths at all times. There are a few other things, the highlights of the site, if you like, that I want to mention. Take a look at the map. Our present location is marked at the bottom. This year, we've identified the foundations of an ancient bridge. And it's really exciting today because a team of divers are in the river searching for lost objects. To reach the bridge, take the main path ahead of you, go straight on, and keep going till the path bends to the left. You'll see a smaller track leading off to the right. Follow that to take you to the river, where the divers are. You might be interested to see the rubbish pit. This is very near the castle walls in the northwest corner of the site. It actually dates to the time of the castle and not the ancient village. We found oyster shells and fish bones, and we assumed they were thrown from the castle kitchen above. One area we excavated in the first summer uncovered the site of a meeting hall. We knew it was an important building because it had 2 rows of post holes, deep enough to support a large roof. It's the largest structure in the central area of the site, next to the current excavation area. Last year we discovered a fish pond in the ancient village. Normally these were beside a river. The pond here is further away, but it's possible the river has moved slightly. Anyway, to get there from here, you turn right at the first information board you come to and follow the path into the trees. Before you come out of the trees, you'll see it on your right. If you reach the river, you've gone too far.
Right, I
So,
see.
does anyone have...
Every meeting hall is actually
That is the end of part
pretty
2.
simple, in my
You
opinion.
now have 30 seconds to check your answers to part 2. Part 3. You will hear 2 theatre studies students, Maya and Finn, discussing their project on theatre programmes. First, you have some time to look at questions 21 to 26. Now listen carefully and answer questions 21 to 26.
Right, let's go.
So, Finn, I've done as much as I can for our project on theatre programmes. How's your research coming along?
Okay, Maya. I didn't know theatre programmes are called playbills in the USA till I started looking into the topic. Even though I struggled to find many useful websites, I'm glad we picked this subject. No one else on the course is doing the same as us, although it is one of the research areas of the module convener.
That might actually put some people off.
I suppose so. Anyway, I hadn't realised there are actually companies specialising in creating theatre programmes.
Yes, they're quite common nowadays. Contrary to what many people think, theatres don't hire people to do the programmes. In fact, companies buy the rights to publish programmes on the theatre's behalf and then make their money selling advertising space within the programme booklet.
It must be easier for theatres to do it that way.
Yes.
I remember reading something about programmes in early British theatre. It said that the cast was always very important.
Yeah. Audiences were very familiar with leading actors, and big names would draw huge crowds.
But I hadn't realised that if the programme named a famous actor, that's who the public expected to perform. And if that didn't happen, people accused the theatre of breaking their agreement with the audience. They would demand refunds, and if they didn't get them, there were riots.
Outrageous! That'd never happen now.
No, people are too polite, even when they're disappointed if the star of the show misses a performance.
We should definitely include that information about early audiences in our project. I also think it's important to mention that lots of ordinary people at that time were illiterate, so theatre programmes were of limited value in advertising plays. When a company of actors arrived in a town, they'd parade around the streets in their costumes, beating drums and announcing their upcoming performances.
Interesting. I couldn't imagine that happening now either.
There's also an interesting comparison to make between 18th and 19th century programmes.
Wasn't it in the 19th century that theatre programmes started to resemble programmes today?
Yes, and unlike programmes from the 18th century, they always used colour.
And there was a greater variety of designs. But personally, I think 18th century programmes were superior because they told the theatre-goers so many things, including about the actors.
And about the writer, the plot, and sometimes the history of the play.
That's right. What should we say about theatre programmes in the 20th century?
I reckon the most important thing is the dramatic change they underwent during World War II.
When the government imposed restrictions on the use of paper?
Yeah, but that was only in the UK. In the USA, programmes, or rather playbills, continued to be published in the same format.
While here in the UK, programmes became merely a single sheet of paper folded to create 4 pages for text.
What I don't really get is that after the war, they didn't go back to being more than one sheet, or change in any way for over 25 years. I know there were paper shortages after the war, but only for 5 or 10 years.
Strange.
Before you hear the rest of the discussion, you have some time to look at questions 27 to 30.
How to develop. This about
Now listen and answer questions 27 to 30.
I've got some pictures of programmes we could include on the slides for our presentation.
I found a couple too, Maya. Let's go through and see what we think.
This is an old one for a play called Ruy Blas.
Never heard of that. But the programme looks very decorative.
Good enough to put in a frame on the wall. The images are just beautiful. Finn, what did you find?
I've got some pages from a programme for Man of La Mancha. I thought this was a good programme to show, not because of the pictures, but because it contains articles written by members of the theatre company. So we can learn how the production was created and the thoughts and feelings of the cast.
Good. I've got a copy of a programme that's now in a museum. It's for The Tragedy of Jane Shore, and it's said to be the earliest surviving document to have been printed on Australia's first printing press.
Fantastic!
Another programme to talk about is for the Sailors' Festival. It comes from the British Library's digitised collection of programmes that was started a few years ago. It already comprises over 200,000 programmes, which is amazing.
Wish I'd known about it while I was doing my research.
That is the end of part 3. You now have 30 seconds to check your... Part 4. You will hear a design and technology lecturer talking about inclusive design. First, you have some time to look at questions 31 to 40. Now listen carefully and answer questions 31 to 40.
It's only relatively recently that designers have become aware of the need to be inclusive when designing products. But what does that mean exactly? Well, it simply means designing products that span economic, social, and cultural barriers. It means making sure products are accessible, so that as many different types of people as possible can use them without any type of adaptation having to be made to the original design. Inclusive design is often linked with universal design, although they are not quite the same thing. Universal design aims to make products that work for everyone, and that includes considering the needs of people who have cognitive difficulties, which can present quite a challenge. Today, examples of successful inclusive design can be seen all around us. In workplaces, it is common to see desks which can be adjusted to suit people of different heights, or for wheelchair users. This still isn't always the case, however, and is one reason why office workers often suffer from back or neck problems. You'll find another example in the public toilets of countless hotels, airports, and offices. Taps that you activate by sensor require no pressing or twisting movements. These are not only more hygienic, they're also easier for people with dexterity or mobility issues. The tech industry has been criticised in the past for focusing too much on young consumers, but this is changing. Many products are now designed with the elderly in mind. For example, it's well known that vision declines with age, and that we also become worse at distinguishing between similar colours, in particular shades of blue, which is why software designers rarely create interfaces with this colour. Motor skills also decline with age, and some people have difficulty doing everyday things, like picking up a cup or opening a door. This can also affect their ability to use a mouse or keyboard. So voice access is now a routine way of making commands. It's worth looking at the problems non-inclusive designs cause when not enough consideration is given to a range of users, as it can have a serious impact on people's lives. Access is one obvious example because it has such a huge impact on disabled people's independence. Not being able to access public transport because buses or trains are not wheelchair-friendly means many disabled people can't go out unless someone goes with them. Safety is another issue. Inexplicably, most cars are still crash-tested using a dummy based on an average-sized male. This has safety implications for all women, particularly those who are pregnant, as the seatbelts worn by the dummy are not adapted to accommodate them. Over the past 100 years, workplaces in the UK have, on the whole, become considerably safer. Employers are legally required to provide well-maintained personal protective equipment, or PPE, anything from goggles to full bodysuits, to workers who need it free of charge. But most PPE is designed to fit men. A recent report found that employers often think that when it comes to female workers, all they need to do to comply with this legal requirement is to buy jackets, for example, designed for a small man. The problem with this is that women can be tall and still have much smaller shoulders than the average man. Ill-fitting PPE such as high-vis jackets, vests and body armour can put women at risk. The report found that 95% of women said that their PPE often hampered their work, and that this problem was worst in the emergency services, particularly the police. Another problem is related to comfort at work. A very common scenario in offices in summertime is to see women wrapped in blankets or wearing sweaters while the air conditioning is on high. Meanwhile, the men are in shorts and t-shirts. This is due to differences in metabolic rates for men and women. There is a standard setting for air conditioning to be at a temperature of 21 degrees, designed to suit men, and in most modern offices, it's not possible to turn the air conditioning up or down. This means that many offices which mainly employ women are wasting energy by having the air conditioning set too high. As you can see from the examples I've just mentioned, there are serious consequences for designs which don't consider the needs of all users.
That is the end of part 4. You now have 1 minute to check your answers to
Damn, so Papa is decent. Hmm. We got four on what?
Test 3.
Piece of jewelry.
Find brooches and other jewellery, but we're still waiting to uncover any such items. The people who want
Uncover. Uncover.
find brooches and other jewellery, but we're still waiting to uncover any such items. The people who
Wrong or find is wrong. What the fuck?
Crowds.
But I hadn't realised that if the programme named a famous actor, that's who the public expected to perform. And if that didn't happen, people accused the theatre of breaking their agreement with the audience. They would demand refunds, and if they didn't get them, there were riots.
I didn't realize that difficult, huh? Yeah, I feel their project should include that explanation.
I also think it's important to mention that lots of ordinary people at that time were illiterate, so theatre programmes were of limited value in advertising plays. When a company of actors arrived in a town, they'd parade around the streets in their costumes, beating drums and announcing their upcoming performances.
Oh.
I think 18th century programmes were superior because they told the theatre goers so many things, including about the actors.
And about Another programme to talk about is for the Sailors' Festival. It comes from the British Library's digitised collection of programmes that was started a few years ago. It already comprises over 200,000 programmes, which is amazing. Another programme to talk about is for the Sailors' Festival. It comes from the British Library's digitised collection of programmes that was started a few years ago. It already comprises over 200,000 programmes.
The problem with this is that
Shorter.
The problem with this is that women can be tall and still have much smaller shoulders than the average man.
Need it. Need it. Shoulders.
This has safety implications for all women, particularly those who are pregnant, as the seatbelts worn by the dummy are not adapted to accommodate them.
Test 3. This is the IELTS listening test. You will hear a number of different recordings, and you will have to answer questions on what you hear. there will be time for you to read the instructions and questions, and you will have a chance to check your work.
Alright, guys, thanks for watching my stream today. So I'll be leaving, and tomorrow we will start to practice. Alright, again. See ya.